Did you know that cutting your workouts in half can actually get you better results? Most people waste a tremendous amount of time in the gym on things that aren't actually doing much. So in today's video, I want to show you how I helped my client Paul use a time-efficient workout strategy to lose 61 pounds this year by avoiding common time-wasting mistakes. And I'm going to show you the exact workout plan that I built for future me to get jacked in just 1 hour per week for when I decide to have a child or start working 15 hours per day. To start, let me show you the single most important part of your workout to consider if you want to get the best return on investment for your time. Most fitness content on the internet will recommend that you do 10 sets per muscle group per week, which is actually a decent recommendation as a starting point. But doing even 10 sets of bicep curls can take quite a long time when we factor in setting up the equipment, rest periods, and doing warm-up sets. Even if that's spread out over 2 or 3 workouts throughout the week, we still have to do that for every muscle group, which could end up being 90 working sets per week, plus warm-ups and setup, teardown, and rest periods, which gets pretty crazy. Now here's the real problem. According to the muscle growth research we have, basically the more sets you do, the more muscle you grow. But interestingly, after a certain point, each additional set you do provides less overall growth than the previous one. So instead of it looking like this, it actually looks more like this. So what does that mean for you? Well, this is actually great news if you want to build muscle in a limited amount of time. Most people are going to fall into one of 3 camps here. The person with a lot of time to train who wants to grow as much muscle as possible is typically going to end up in the 8+ weekly sets per muscle group zone. Hi, that's me. The person who just wants to maintain the current muscle that they do have can get away with far fewer, as little as really 1 to 3 weekly sets per muscle group. And the person who has limited time but still wants to build some muscle is probably going to get the best bang for their buck somewhere in that 4 to 7 weekly sets range. The enormous caveat here is that all these sets need to be pushed close to failure or all the way to failure if we want them to be effective at growing muscle. We're not talking about 4 to 7 dinky sets of bicep curls you're doing and just quitting whenever you want or when you hit 10 reps. Since you're working with a lower number of weekly sets, it's more important than ever that each set really does count. Now that you know that, let me show you how many days per week you should be working out if you want to build muscle without living in the gym. Let me give you an example that simplifies this. This is my bathroom fan. It's one of those fancy ones that's on a timer. So when I push this button, that fan turns on for 30 minutes until it automatically will turn itself off. And you can think of your body in the same way. When you go do a hard workout, you tell your body that it's time to push the on button for muscle growth. Your body ramps up its muscle building processes until it eventually returns back to its resting state. So the longer I can keep that muscle building fan turned on throughout the week, the month, and the year, the more muscle I'll build, right? But here's the kicker. If my fan is only on for 30 minutes and I only push this button once per week, what's happening for the other 10,050 minutes during the week? If you said, fuck all, you guessed it. So how can you keep that muscle growth fan spinning without going to the gym every day? Lucky for you, a solid muscle building workout won't just crank up your growth levels for 30 minutes, but something more like 2 or 3 days. So if we take your 4 weekly bicep curls from earlier in the video and we do them all on a weekly Wednesday workout, there's a big chunk of the week where your biceps just really aren't growing. It seems like 2 workouts per week is a solid minimum starting point for anyone who's remotely serious about building muscle. Whether 3 or more workouts per week would be better than 2 workouts per week for you really depends on a few things. If you can't realistically make it to the gym 3+ days per week consistently, then definitely stick with 2 workouts. If you're doing your 2 workouts, but you're finding it tough to actually get all your sets done while you're in the gym, then maybe it might be easier to spread that workout over 3, 4, or even 5 shorter sessions throughout the week. And if you're finding yourself so crushed by your workouts that the back half of your workout starts to suffer, then it might be worth spreading that work out throughout the week to make your workouts a little more productive. That leads us to the single biggest time waster in the gym across age, gender, and nationality that you need to avoid like the plague. There's an older retired guy who goes to my gym and he spends 3 hours a day there, and look, he has an absolute heart of gold. He talks to everyone at the gym, he asks them about their family and their lives, and he'll do this huge circuit workout with 10 different exercises and 5 sets of everything. And I love the guy, but he does not do much actual training while he's at the gym. So how can you avoid wasting time like this when you're at the gym? My one-on-one coaching client, Paul, from earlier, he has 3 kids, he runs his own business, and he has a busy life. He doesn't have the mental bandwidth to be coming up with a workout program while he's at the gym on a Wednesday evening. Having a step-by-step workout plan laid out for him, all loaded loaded into my custom mobile app so he can just track his progress all in one place has been an absolute game changer for him. So you can actually use your phone to save you time in the gym instead of wasting time on feetfinder.com. You can use Google Sheets or a workout tracker app or even just your notes app to keep track of what you're doing. And you can learn more about my coaching using the link in the description box. You also want to avoid picking exercises that take a ton of time to set up or warm up for. Well, it might take me 15 or even 20 minutes to get to a heavy working set of squats, a few sets of leg press, and I'm ready to go. And just cut the fat from your program. There's no need to do exercises that just aren't doing all that much for you, like goofy banded warm-up exercises or training your calves or your pelvic floor or whatever other muscle groups you just don't care about growing. Focusing on multi-joint exercises saves you time too. So instead of doing a straight arm pullover and some bicep curls for my back and my biceps, respectively, I could just do a set of chin-ups and hit them both pretty well. It's also helpful to keep an eye on your rest times while you're in the gym. Usually I'm recovered and ready to go for my next set with 90 seconds or 2 minutes of rest, depending on the exercise. But a day where I'm a little less focused or not watching the clock, those rest periods could easily stretch out to 4 or 5 minutes, which can add up to huge time amounts over the course of a full workout. Now, the next part of the system will help you grow more muscle than someone who spends the exact same amount of time in the gym as you. Take Kobe Bryant, for example. After showing up early to practice and staying late, he'd end up taking 10,000 extra shots per year and spending an extra 1,000 hours practicing his dribbling. As the years went on, the divide between him and his peers just continued to grow. And when you implement the 3 strategies I'm about to show you, the same thing will happen with your gym progress versus everyone else at your gym. Now, you've probably heard of supersets before, but there are a few mistakes I see guys making all the time in the gym that keep them from actually building more muscle in less time when they do them. In case you don't know, superset is just a fancy way of saying you're gonna do back-to-back exercises instead of multiple sets of the same exercise separated by rest periods. This alone will massively improve the efficiency of your training if you do it correctly. Firstly, you'll want to pair up non-overlapping muscle groups for your supersets. So if you do a chest press as your first exercise, it doesn't make much sense to do a chest fly as your second exercise because your chest is already being worked. Instead, you'd want to pair that chest press up with a back exercise because while your back is being worked, your chest is resting, so it saves you time. This can also be done with upper body and lower body exercises, supersetting leg press with lateral raises, for example. There's no need to rest in between your first and second exercise. And after you finish that second exercise and you're ready to go back to the first, just rest until you're not out of breath and you're ready to push hard again for another round. But what should you do if your gym is busy and you can't be using all the stations at once? Well, now that you know that pushing a set close to failure is most productive for muscle growth, we can use that to our advantage. Immediately after you finish your set of bicep curls, you can lower the weight by 20% and go straight into another mini set or drop set right away afterwards. This gives you another exposure to that magical point in the set where you're close to failure, and it'll give you an extra boost of muscle growth in a fraction of the time it would take to rest and fully do another set. You can even get really freaky and do a double drop set where you drop the weight by an additional 20% after the first drop set and go again. Now, there's another option that's less popular among common gym folk, but it's just as effective. With this strategy, right after you finish your set of bicep curls, you take 3 to 5 deep breaths, and then straight away, you go into another mini set of bicep curls with the same weight, getting probably 3 to 5 more reps. Again, you take 3 to 5 deep breaths and do another mini set, continuing to repeat the process until you can no longer get 3 or 4 bicep curls in a single set. That's called myo reps. Just a huge word of caution on both of these. If you've never pushed yourself very hard in the gym, you've never really trained close to failure, and you've never tried these before, please ease your way into them because they can be very intense and they can make you super sore. Now I want to show you how I'd tie all these training principles together to build myself a workout program that would get me great results on a tight time budget. To start, we're going to work with a 2-day per week full body program to ensure that all muscle groups are getting hit at least twice per week. Day 1 would start out with a leg press, and I'd do a set of 8 to 12 reps. I'd do a set close to failure, and then I'd use myo reps to get an extra 1 to 2 mini sets close to failure straight afterwards. After that, I'd stand up and do a set of dumbbell lateral raises for 10 to 15 reps. Again, using myo reps to squeeze a little bit of extra juice out of these sets. I'd rest as much as I needed here before going back to do just 1 more set of each of those. And then I'd move on to doing a dumbbell incline bench press, which again is just so much faster for me to warm up on than a traditional barbell bench. I'm hitting this for a near failure set of 8 to 12 reps before immediately flipping onto my chest and hitting a set of dumbbell chest supported rows to train my back. Since the equipment's already set up in one spot and the opposite muscle is resting while the target muscle is being trained, it would be easy to bang out 2 sets sets of each of these in about 5 minutes. I'd then move on to dumbbell Romanian deadlifts to hit the lower body muscles that weren't targeted as directly during the leg press. For these, I do 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps, focusing on keeping a nice proud chest position while pushing my hips back to get a big loaded stretch on my glutes and hamstrings. I also like to use a pair of wrist straps here to prevent my grip from being a limiting factor, because my glutes can move a lot more weight than my hands can hold on to. I'd put the weights down after my set and immediately anchor my feet under one of the dumbbells and hit a set of weighted sit-ups all the way to failure. With this exercise, I like to think about driving my ribs up towards my pelvis, which is the primary function of the rectus abdominis or six-pack muscle, and then I'd slowly lower myself all the way back down to the start position, fighting gravity on the way down by using my abs. At the end of this set of sit-ups, I'd just put the weight down and immediately do a drop set of just body weight sit-ups all the way to failure again before a quick rest period and doing one more set of the RDL and the sit-up. Next, I'll be doing rope hammer curls to grow my biceps, because your biceps they cannot ever be too big, can they? With these, I like to do sets of 8 to 12 reps and keeping them as strict as possible, so I'm not rocking my torso forward and back. And I'm gonna do a double drop set on these, getting as many good reps as I can on each set to get a ton of bicep stimulus in a very short period of time. Then I'd raise the rope up and do the exact same thing with a rope push down for my triceps. Again, hitting the double drop set here, but still keeping track of the total number of reps I'm doing so I can ensure that I'm making progress from week to week. With warm-ups and rest periods, I should be able to get this whole workout done in about 30 minutes. Will it give me my best ever gains? Probably not. Will it be pleasant and enjoyable and easy? Fuck no. But those are trade-offs that I'd be willing to take if I just had a limited amount of time to spend in the gym. Now, how can you use this information to build a workout program that works for you? If you want to grow the same muscles that I outlined in my workout, just duplicate the session and then substitute the exercises on the second day so you're not doing the same exercises twice weekly. Otherwise, feel free to swap out the exercises to target the muscle groups that you want to train. And feel free to change the order of the exercises, prioritizing your preferred muscle groups by putting them earlier in the session. You'll also want to make sure that the exercises you select use equipment that you actually have access to, and then it makes sense with the overall layout of your gym. Run your program for 2 weeks, and then you can make any adjustments as needed from there on. And if you prefer to just have myself and my team figure this all out for you, then click the link in the description box to find out more about how our one-on-one coaching works, because I'd love to have you. Now that you've got a workout plan you can do with a busy schedule, there's one more thing you need to master, because without it, your workouts just really won't do all that much. So watch this video next, where I'll show you the #1 method to lose your belly fat for good.